Live the London way, without fear. When faced with the immeasurable destruction of the German bombers during World War II, Londoners' resolve shined like a beacon. London faced an unimaginable number of bombings at the hands of the Germans during the Blitz. This didn't faze the people, they adapted. Instead of complaining and cowering in bunkers, the people of London continued living their lives as if they were in peacetime. Although tragic, only around 32,000 citizens died during the Blitz, while 2 million houses were destroyed. Ironically, it was the buildings, not the people of London, that lacked the fortitude to withstand the barrage of the bombs. Many of their buildings were damaged or destroyed. I'd seen the wartime photos. Their ability to rebuild London into something stunning again amazed me. We also visited a proud symbol of London's fortitude, St. Paul's Cathedral. It was windy when our group walked towards St. Paul's. As the wind battered us, we crossed the Thames. There, laying just beyond the river, was the iconic dome of St. Paul's. While on the bridge spanning the Thames, our minds seemed to drift downriver as our jaws sank at the sight of the powerful dome. Groups of people migrated towards and away from the cathedral in mass herds. People walking towards the immense structure mindlessly stared at its magnificence while periodically bumping into other pedestrians. It's understandable, we were stunned. Approximately 100 pictures later, we found ourselves in the shadow of the cathedral. It stood in its grandeur while it consumed every drop of our attention. We met our London Blitz tour guide, Andy Rashley, outside of the cathedral. He was an older, chipper fellow with a happy disposition. He carried a backpack full of historical photos he had carefully laminated. Many would have thought he was a traveler himself at first glance. Rashley brought us close to the walls of St. Paul's and unveiled chips in the stonework. These weren't representations of long-term erosion. If Rashley was showing us something, there was no way it would be that mundane. He told us that the chips were from the shrapnel of bombs that landed near the cathedral. Andy quipped cleverly about London's history. He jested about a bomb going through the window of St. Paul's and the cathedral being as stubborn as the people when it came to standing against oppressive tyranny. Joking aside, we sensed Andy's pride for his country. His eyes gleamed as he detailed the city's rich history. In them, you could almost see a shimmer of the hope and pride the Londoners shared that brightened their blacked out nights. After St. Paul's Cathedral, we went to Paternoster Square. The bombs were not as kind in this area. Not much was left of the square when the bombing subsided. The determined Londoners weren't just going to leave Paternoster Square in rubble. It's not in their nature. They restored the square beyond its former glory. Now, a giant towering column strikes the sky from the center of the square. Just behind the column, there is, of all things, a sundial calendar of sorts. Andy mentioned that peculiarly, it only tells the date at noon. Although it's not particularly useful, it's still impressive. We visited the Christ Church Greyfriars, a bombed-out Christopher Wren church the Londoners decided to leave alone. The ruins, once filled with pews and people, now contain a luscious rose garden. One could see the intrinsic shimmers of hope and pride frequently found in the eyes of the Londoners within the defiant foliage breaking through the ground. To other nations, this church would have been abandoned as a scar. To Londoners, this church is a testament that life and beauty can still grow from the desolated waste of war.